When Jesus was asked about paying taxes to Caesar, he answered with a statement that has shaped thought for centuries. Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. In that one sentence, Jesus drew a line between earthly authority and divine authority. He did not deny the reality of taxation. He did not treat it as a private choice. Instead, he acknowledged that in human society, there are obligations attached to living under a government, and taxation is one of them. This moment is important because it shows that taxation is not just an economic issue. It is also a moral and social one. People often think of taxes as something purely political, but throughout history, they have been tied to duty, order, and the structure of civilization itself. Governments collect taxes to maintain systems, provide services, and preserve stability. In biblical terms, this reflects the reality that human beings live in organized societies, and those societies require support. The question is not whether people prefer taxes, but whether they recognize the responsibilities that come with public life. Jesus' response also reveals something deeper about authority. Caesar represented the power of the state, the power that claims tribute, obedience, and civic contribution. God represented the higher authority, the authority over conscience, morality, and ultimate allegiance. By separating the two, Jesus was not praising Caesar, but he was also not calling for rebellion over the tax question. Instead, he placed taxation in its proper category, an earthly obligation. In that sense, the passage teaches that people do not live outside systems, they live inside them, and those systems demand participation. This is where taxation connects to religious principles. Many religious traditions teach that human life involves responsibility, discipline, and submission to legitimate order. Paying taxes can be understood as part of that order. It is one way people contribute to the shared burden of society. Even when individuals disagree with how money is spent, the principle remains that public life requires collective support. Religion often calls people to do what is necessary, not merely what is desired. It asks them to live with duty, not only with preference. At the same time, the Bible does not present the state as the highest authority. That distinction matters. Jesus' words imply limits. Caesar gets what belongs to Caesar, but not what belongs to God. Taxes may belong to civic life, but conscience, worship, and moral truth belong elsewhere. This means that while people may be required to pay taxes, they are not required to give the state their soul, their faith, or their ultimate loyalty. The state can collect revenue, but it cannot replace God. This is one reason the subject of taxation has always carried tension. On one hand, it is necessary for organized society. On the other hand, it reminds people that they have little choice in the matter. Taxation is generally enforced by law, not by personal agreement. People may debate rates, fairness, and use, but they do not usually get to opt out. That lack of choice is part of what makes taxation so powerful. It reflects the reality that life in community always comes with obligations that cannot be avoided simply because someone dislikes them. From a religious perspective, this can be seen as part of the human condition. People are bound by structures larger than themselves. They inherit responsibilities. They live under authority. They are called to balance earthly duties with spiritual faithfulness. Taxation fits into that pattern. It is not the center of religion, but it is one of the places where religion and public life meet. It asks a person whether they can be obedient in the civic realm without surrendering their higher moral identity. So the meaning of Jesus paying taxes to Caesar is not that taxation is sacred, but that it is recognized as part of worldly governance. The message is practical and profound at the same time. Fulfill your obligations in society, but remember that your highest allegiance belongs to God. Caesar may demand payment, but Caesar does not own the whole person. The state may have authority, but it is limited authority. That is the balance the passage teaches. In the end, the biblical lesson is clear. Taxes are part of the order of earthly life, and people generally do not have a choice about them. But religion reminds us that while the state may claim what belongs to it, it must never be confused with what belongs to God. That distinction is the heart of the passage, and it is why Jesus' answer remains so powerful. The coin belongs to Caesar because it bears his image and is used in his economy. The tax belongs to Caesar because the state enforces tribute as part of its rule. The people are under Caesar's authority in the civic sense, because they live inside his system. Earthly power is real because it controls laws, taxes, punishment, labor, schools, borders, and public norms. It can pressure people, train habits, reward obedience, and punish dissent. Over time, that absolutely affects character, imagination, and even what people think is normal. In that sense, Caesar can influence the outer life so strongly that he appears to reach the inner life too. Jesus is not denying empire's power, nor is he limiting it. He is saying, yes, Caesar shapes the social world, yes, earthly rulers have coercive force, yes, they can burden lives deeply. Yes, they can shape soul desires. Caesar can dominate conditions, but God alone has ultimate claim according to the folklore. It's not broken, the simulation was created to work this way. Thank you for listening. I love you all, peace and blessings.